We are live.
Let's go, baby. It is another night of evening rants, and this year has kicked off crazy. Things are nuts. Things are absolutely insane. And coming up in, 13 days is the inauguration, which, by the way, I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be at the actual inauguration, but I will be in the area. So for those of you in the area, if you want to meet up, there's a good possibility I might actually do a gym meetup in the area. Because who the hell else is going to do a gym meetup around the inauguration? Right. I mean, while the rest of y'all are out, like, I'm thinking I'm going to do it. Look, man, first thing, I don't do crowds. Second thing, I saw what happened the last time a bunch of Trump supporters got together. A third thing is I don't trust people, man. Look, if there's ever a time for crazies to do crazy things, that's the time. So you're going to be seeing my butt in a gym or in a hotel during the actual inauguration. I am not going to be there, but I will be in the area, most likely. Most likely. I'm not going to tell you who got them for me, but we'll be talking about that soon. But I will be there. I have been invited to some cool things, and that's it. So if you're interested, just DM me on Twitter, and we can maybe I'll put together a gym meetup. I know there's some good gyms in the area, at least in Virginia. I know there's good gyms. I know there's a Gold's, the Clock Tower Gold's in Manassas. I know there's some gyms, and we can do it unofficial. I'll pay the day pass. We'll get together, train, get a protein shake. You know,
oh wow, that's
trying to make fitness and
nice
politics
you,
great again.
That's super fucking nice of you, bro. It really is.
We do something hard like a deadlift party. That'd be great.
Yes, something crazy. Yeah, I will pass on that.
Yeah, the inauguration, man, that's going to be nuts. I don't trust anything. I just don't, especially crowds. And I mean, with everything going on, you see what happens with crowds. Yeah. I mean, he's still not the president. Supposedly January 10th, like they're going to sentence him in New York.
I'm telling you, we should still be ready for some serious fuck shit. We really should.
Why would he even show up? At this point, it's like, come and get me. What are you going to do? And once he's sworn in as president, the Secret Service will be like, you can't come near him. So that's a good question. What happens if a state agent comes up to Trump and he has Secret Service and the federal government on his side? Like, what? At that point, dude, I'm sorry, New York, I love NYPD or whoever's going to be doing this. Yo, it's not going to be your day. Like, it's just not going to be a good day for you. And I don't think at that point they'd have to stand down. They know that their life is done. I mean, not like done as in they won't get another job, but their life will no longer be on this planet. Like, they will be evaporated. It's just, it will not end well when Trump has the full might of the military and the Secret Service on his side. If I were him, I wouldn't show up to New York. I'd tell the judge, I'd say, hey, fuck yourself. I'm not showing up. Why would he show up? Like, why for this show trial? Like, why?
I don't know, man. Like, that's a wild to me too. Like, why would you even bother with this stuff at this point? First of all, and I know that it's like they hold on to the like, well, you're voted for a felon. I'm sorry, but this is the most trumped up shit ever. You know, I mean, it just really is. I can't even. It would be different.
An expired misdemeanor that they said turned into a felony, of which they've yet to prove a felony. So it's the weirdest thing where they somehow had all these misdemeanors led to the committing of a felony of which there's no felony. But the Democrats are, you voted for a convicted felon. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Like, let's assume he did it all. Yes, we did. You know who else voted for a convicted felon? The people who voted for Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I want you to keep that same energy for Nelson Mandela, bitches.
All of the founding fathers would be considered felons.
Very true. Very true. So, yeah, I mean, I am very proud to have voted for a convicted felon, and I would do it all over again, as would everybody who voted for. Nobody has buyer's remorse on Trump. Everybody's just, God, I hope this ends soon. I hope whatever's going on now is going to end soon, because the crazy is just going to be ramped up, and they're going to keep it going. They're going to have riots. It's going to be, I hope not. But if you're going by history, like, they kind of did that during his first presidency. Like, they kind of ramped up the crazy.
if there's gonna be riots, do you think that they'll keep it back into their own cities again and destroy their own property, or do you think they'll actually try to like put it into rural America this time?
That would be fantastic, in my opinion. I think
Cool.
they should start. I think they should start in rural America and see how that turns out
Yeah.
for them.
I
I
would
would love to see
love
20.
it.
I would love to see 20 Antifa guys come up to like my city. Like that, they
Yeah.
couldn't make it past one subdivision. Like they'd get to one subdivision, they'd make it about 3 houses deep, and it would
My
be
one, my
done.
one, my one neighbor has a potato cannon that shakes the ground when he lights it off. Like
A potato cannon?
Yeah,
So how'd
like
you die?
you can,
Potato cannon.
a potato going 4,000 miles an hour will fucking rip through you, buddy. So,
Who the hell has a potato cannon?
rednecks.
Yeah.
Many rednecks.
I mean,
many
that's
rednecks
not
have
even on my Christmas wish list. Like a potato
well,
cannon.
they don't sell them. The like rednecks build them. You know, like out of old like car parts and shit. It's wild.
I'm not handy enough for that. I mean, I'm just gonna have to settle for my good old fashioned pew pews that I lost in a boating accident.
Yeah, same boating accident. So.
Yeah, same one. And I read some other thing like I didn't say, but the ATF apparently like just they're going on a spree. They're just raiding people's houses, pro-gun people's houses. They're holding their families at gunpoint. We need to get rid of the ATF. Why do we have a bureau, or why do we have a part of the government called alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, all of which are legal? Like, if they're legal, then why do we need an agency to police them?
Well, I will also argue that anytime that they enter somebody's house, it is illegal because they have no power because Chevron. Like all their only ability is by their own the regulations they write, and according to the Supreme Court and the Chevron papers, it's not. They have no power anymore. Like they have no say. You know.
What do you think now? What if, let's say, what if the ATF comes to a base town? Like, what if they came to Polk County, Florida, and that sheriff was there, and they're like, okay, we're gonna raid this house. The sheriff got word. I think the sheriff would mow down the ATF. He would be like, nope, you guys got to stand down, or we're gonna have a fucking problem.
There's a lot of the sheriffs in Florida like have openly said, like, if the ATF shows up at your door, don't let them in and call us. Because they'll arrest them for trespassing.
What
if it actually happens?
What if the ATF what if they actually did it and they're like, no, we're not standing down, we have jurisdiction? What happens then? That's the big if. Like, what would spark a civil uprising or a civil war? That would, I mean, when you have a federal agency, right? And we still have a good, 13 days left, guys. What if they got brazen? The ATF's like, all right, there's this guy. He's a big contributor to the NRA, and we're gonna go get him. Like they did this. I forgot where it was. I should have saved the story. If anybody has it, put it in the chat. Right? What if they got big balls? They're like, we got 13 days. Let's go scorch earth, and they go somewhere like a Polk County. And then Polk County's like, oh, hell no. And then the ATF's like, well, we're feds. We're going to do what we want to do. What would happen in America? Would we have a complete civil breakdown, or would it be more localized to that region?
I think it would start localized, but it would probably get to the point where like people would want problems. Here's that story. I got it from your.
There it is. Maryland. Yep. Maryland is not based. So it appears that if you're in a town, if you are a guy, you're pretty safe if you live in a town like I do, like the folks in Polk County. If you're in basically a red state, and Maryland is not a red state, you're going to be okay because your sheriff and your local PD, they will fuck up the feds. I have no doubt in my mind that local government will mess up the feds if need be to protect their citizenry. In a lot of localities, not every one, but a lot of them. It is crazy. Did you actually read this story? They literally had his wife and daughter at gunpoint, and his son wasn't awake. He was sleeping in a bedroom in the basement. Brand new, they had them a house for 3 months. Their dogs, supposedly the police dogs, shit all over their beds. They ransacked the house. Brand new, basically almost new house. Just moved in. and they had a broken back door, broken front door, broken windows, and these people had to fix it themselves. So the government could come in, destroy your property, search for stuff, and they don't pay to fix it. Isn't that wild? I would sue them for everything there were. I would sue the government. I would sue everybody. I would have mental. You're obviously going to have PTSD from that.
Yeah, and not only that, but like talk about fucking bootlickers. You know, you're supposed to defend the goddamn Constitution, you fucking pieces of shit.
So you know? If Trump was the man we all wish he was, and meaning an exaggerated form of Trump, at least I do, Trump would find who these ATF agents are, and he would hold them accountable and charge them. And he would put them in prison, because that is unconstitutional to go into someone's house. And they didn't even have, they didn't have reason, except for that this guy was pro-gun. That was their only reason. They had no reason other than they just wanted to mess up this guy's life. And now imagine what those kids are going through, man. Like, they won't be able to sleep at night. I had a friend, and they walked in on a home invasion robbery. Bro, and this is a beautiful house. I'm talking a multi-million-dollar house. They moved because they didn't want to have to, go their kids, right? Their kids won't be able to rest at night knowing that there were people in their house uninvited. So I can only imagine what these kids are going through, but the government doesn't care about you. They don't care about your kids. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care if you live or die. To the government, you are just a number. You are just a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the population. They don't care about you. They will kill you. They will kill their family. And the bootlicking agents in the ATF and the DEA, they don't care about you. They've gone through enough stress, and I'm not saying that to defend them, where if they kill somebody, they just don't care. It's just another body. Right. Or if they ruin someone's life, they just don't care. And they're immune to it. And that's the problem. So they're like, just another job, just taking orders. It's that military mindset. And it's unfortunate, but we're at such a point in this country where I would rather be around criminals than around feds at this point.
Absolutely. Well, it's two different types of criminals, frankly, at this point. But
federal agents, man, I mean, dude, the ATF, DEA, they have completely jumped the shark. And I know there's a lot of good agents out there, but if you're in the ATF and you're watching this, what do you think? Like, how do you feel being a part of this just fucking demonic anti-American organization?
Well, the organization itself is completely like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Why should the government have anything to do with what you drink, what you smoke? And they definitely shouldn't have a whole organization that is about your rights. The federal government, the state government, local governments, no government should have anything to do with any firearm owned by any free citizen. It is one of our rights. It shouldn't even be taxed. Ammo and firearms should not even be taxed because it's a right. You shouldn't. Yeah. Right. And like me and you should be like, there should be no background check. If I'm free, I should be able to get one. And I know people are like, oh, so you want criminals to have one? So where does that go? Like, just recently we had somebody use a vehicle to commit mass murder. So should we not let felons have cars? Should we not let them drive? Should we completely disenfranchise them? What do we stop this at? Do they get to have knives? Do they get to shop at Walmart and buy kitchen knives? Like, where do we stop this at?
And if they're felons, the whole point of prison. So there's two ways to look at prison, right? Like, is prison punishment or rehab? Now, in the American system, to what I learned in school, which could be wrong, is the whole point of our prison system is reform, to get you to serve your time, to punish you, but at the same time reform you. So when you go back into the public, you are no longer a criminal. So if prison is strictly for punishment, then everything should be a life sentence. We should never let people out. If you're letting people out as felons, right? Like, you're a felon. First of all, good luck getting a job, because they ask you that on your applications. So you can't get a good job. You have to explain a 5 to 10 year, whatever you served, gap in your employment history. And making license plates probably doesn't look good either, right? No. So you have this gap in employment. You have this felony checkbox. So you can't get a good job. You can't make good money. We let people out of prison, and they have no way to get back into the real world. So they have to resort to committing crime again. Our system is broken, and the for-profit prison system needs to go. I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
is
agree.
we are so broken. Look, man, Trump couldn't fix this. If Trump is immortal, he couldn't fix this shit in 40 years, even if he did do what we think he's going to do.
Yeah.
There's just no possible way. We need another 10 Trumps, assuming Trump does what we think Trump's going to do. We need 10 Trumps in a row to even get close to where we need to be as a country. Prison reform is something that I used to be on the side of Democrats on. Like, we need to reform prisons. We need to stop sending people to jail for these, these nonviolent crimes, for these drug crimes. We need to stop keeping people in prison for profit. And Kamala Harris is one of the culprits. She literally kept people in prison longer so they could do free labor for the state. It's essentially slavery. So yeah, you could say Kamala was a slave owner because she was enslaving prisoners to do work for lower cost than it would cost the state to do work if they hired people to do the work. It's just, the system just makes me sick, because once you're in it, you can't get out. So my goal is, if we are to have a prison system, is we need to focus on, okay, we need to punish them, right? It can't be easy, but at the same time, what are we doing to make it where when we release these people from prison, that they can assimilate into society?
My thing is, like, I don't understand, if we, the people, are punishing them, why do other people make profit off of it? And it's the same thing as the healthcare system. Anytime you add profit to something involving pain, it is always going to end up being corrupted, right? So, like, making profit off of somebody's illness, these people that want to make more profit are going to want more illness. These people that are profiting off people being in prison are going to want more people in prison. They're going to want longer sentences and have them be in prison more often because they make more money. And then what happens is those two industries are huge lobbyists for the politicians. They basically buy the politicians, which we need, like, to fix most of this. If we could just have term limits and take the money out of politics. But I mean, look at it. In 3 months, Kamala Harris spent $1.4, almost $1.5 billion motherfucking dollars to try to get elected. That should not be, like, imagine, like, people are like, oh, Elon Musk can solve world hunger if he wouldn't have bought Twitter. That fucking idiot just spent $1.5 billion to make herself look like a fucking fool. Like, I mean, and it was basically, if you really think about it, where did that fucking money go? It seemed like it was just gifts to other elites and gifts to other fucking rich people,
Well, going back to gifts. So when you have a for-profit prison system, who sentences the criminals? Judges. Okay. So that also opens an entire probability. Actually, it happens. It 100% happens that the judges will be taking kickbacks and bribes from the prison systems. Guarantee you it happens more than we know.
Absolutely.
More than we know.
I completely agree. I mean, I find it impossible to believe it doesn't happen in almost all aspects of, like, larger business. Any business that deals with the government, you can almost see the exchange going back and forth. Fuck, dude, they don't even try to hide it in the healthcare industry. I mean, they really don't. They don't even try to hide it. The division of the FDA, remember when they fact-checked RFK because he said 50% of the FDA's budget, or 50% of the FDA's finances come from pharma? And they're like, nah, it's 48. Like, oh, it caught me, But if you look at it closely, and anybody, you can ask Grok, you can ask ChatGPT, you can do the research yourself. The division of the FDA that approves drugs is 75% funded by pharmaceutical companies.
Wow. So
that's an issue.
Well, I've changed my tune on Pfizer and on Big Pharma and the COVID vaccines, and this very pro-COVID vaccine, because apparently there's this side effect for the vaccines, because there are side effects, but they're awesome side effects. And I'm going to say this, YouTube, I am not, by all means, I encourage all females to get the COVID vaccine. I'm saying this for the record. You can fact check me, but if there's ever anything that gets you to really encourage people to get the COVID vaccine, it's this. So and I believe this is really her. I'm not, yeah, I believe it is. I don't know. Hopefully it is. a 19-year-old woman in Canada, so she's of age, so I'm not being weird. A 19-year-old woman in Canada experienced her breast ballooning in size, growing from a B cup to a triple G cup 6 months after receiving the COVID vaccine. Whoa, didn't want to go there.
Bro,
anyway, those are boobies.
we're on Facebook. Holy shit.
So, yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's live. Sorry.
It's already on. I'm here.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was just scrolling. I didn't know. I never scrolled down to this. So I actually read the story, and so she took the first shot, right? And her boobs like blew up. Doctors ran some tests, this and that, and they're like, "No, you're safe to have the second shot." So she takes the second shot, and these mofos ballooned up. So she's had one breast reduction surgery, and they took it down, but she had some bleeding because you're cut open and they're reducing your breast size, right? Like my wife had implants taken out. It's not that easy. So anyway, so she's going to go back in and make them even smaller. So these things didn't just grow, and it's a condition that this vaccine, which by the way causes 0 side effects. That
it's
are not
a side
awesome.
effect. It's not a side effect. Yeah, it's not a side effect.
Well, no, it causes awesome side effects. These are, come on, like if it did this, every dude would be taking his chick to Walgreens tomorrow. I'd be like, honey, don't you think we should get the shot?
Now, all joking and kidding aside, first of all, that had to be massively painful because apparently they grew very, very, very quickly, right?
I think it was triple G. I think while pregnant, my wife had implants. She had them taken out. She had breast implant illness. Horrible. Don't get breast implants. They're terrible.
Ever. How they got approved by the FDA?
Yeah, it was a mistake, right? I was never a big fan. I was like, do what you need to do. It's your thing. I'm not going to argue. But admittedly, we didn't look into it enough, and we didn't do enough research. Just as an aside, breast implant illness is fucking terrible. In fact, I think she's been public about it. Phil Heath's wife, her and my wife became good friends because she had, she almost died. So Phil Heath, by the way, 7-time Mr. Olympia. Beautiful, Cherie. Beautiful people. Great.
Super smart dude too.
Oh my God. And she is just as smart. I love those two. So actually they became friends because, he's a great guy. So they became friends, because they both had issues. And my wife is going through it. Cherie reached out to me to get to her because she's like, oh my God, Phil told me, and she's so nice. But anyway, so I think my wife's got up to, I think it was a G. They were enormous after the third child. And it is, those are astronomically big tits. Like they're insanely large. And supposedly she had like a B cup, and just, a B cup's like a handful, right? Not even, it's like a small handful. Whereas double G's like you're using 2 hands to lift them bitches up.
Yeah.
So
it's
what I ask is, just like when they were saying there's no impact on fertility, yet this shot was messing with girls' periods, and that literally is fertility. That is the body disposing of an egg that wasn't used. So my thing is, so if it's so that's when I'm like, well, it is affecting fertility, at least the process of fertility. If it's causing this, what mechanism of action is it working through, and what else can that cause? And I think that's a serious question we need to ask. And I know this is very rare and it doesn't happen often, but what is the mechanism of action? Because in this female, it caused this to happen, but based on what the action is, it can cause other things in the body, depending on the body's unique chemistry to your body. So that's my fear, is that if we're finding out it does this, what else can the process of what this mRNA do? What else can it could it make my penis bigger? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, what is the mechanism of action is, and you know more about this than I do.
So my wife and I were actually talking about this story not too long ago. And she pointed out, she was like, how do you think men would react if the possibility to all of a sudden engorge your testicles to 3 times their size to the point where it's painful? How do you think people would react? And I'm like,
it'd be terrible.
Probably not well,
yeah.
And I agree. Here's my thing. you can call it rare, you can call it whatever. No, the whole thing is no drugs are safe. Okay, but maybe that means we should take a look at drugs again. But I can argue that even if it's considered rare, when you give it to billions of fucking people, it still impacts a lot of fucking people, And,
a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was staggered by. Like, it was population level experimentation, and that's why me and you were like, I'm in a control group. I made those videos with like using the hashtag control group. I have not ever received so much hate than those things. Like, it was wild because I was just like, you just want to see what's going on.
But Alan, it was a factual statement. Like, you literally are the control group. If what was it? They've given out something X 8.5, 3.6 billion shots. I forgot the exact. So if there's it was more than the actual population of the world. I don't remember the exact number, so I'm off. But billions of these shots. So if we're some of the few people who didn't get it, that does make us the control group, because a lot of people got this. So thereby, the people who didn't get it, that is placebo. That is the control group. And that, by any sense of the scientific word for it, that is the control group. So you're actually being factually correct in that if you did not get the shot, you are the control group.
Right.
But what I'm seeing is when you mass, when you look at like studies, and you look at coming out with LD50s, LD50 is basically 50% of how much you need to take to die. Right. So if it takes 100, let's say 100 grams of caffeine to die, the LD50 would be 50. Pretty simple. So when you're looking at that, you look at data. Okay, well, people who took this much in the test, maybe it was done on, obviously they usually do these on animals, because if you did it on, you can't just kill humans. Like, they do it on rats usually. Well, let's say
you
6
can't
mice.
just.
So my question is, did we ever establish an LD50 for this shot? If we do have an LD50, what is it? And also, all these unknown side effects, this would have been flushed out if we actually did the testing for the amount of time that we were supposed to do the testing to launch a therapy, I'll call it.
So the wild thing that I found is, like, most people don't even understand that, like, most traditional vaccines, and these should be more categorized, and they're admitting this, so YouTube, be nice. But these are more categorized as gene therapy, and just reality. But classic vaccines are normally tested for about 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to see what happens not only 5 to 10 years, and then there's also massive follow-up on what happens generationally.
Yes.
And we just threw all that out the window. The thing that I would just really be, the people that took the first 2, if you're good now, I mean, I'm still thinking you might be a little leery. I know I would be stressed like a motherfucker every day. Every little twinge I would have in my chest, I'd be like, oh shit,
But in fairness, can I state to these people, we are not normal.
Yeah.
Like, we have such, like, when you have paid attention and you do what we do for a living, you're more cognizant of if you're off, right? Does that make sense? Like, if a normal person, like, I can tell if my heart rate is 2 beats elevated. The normal person can't tell. I can tell when my REM sleep, again, I measure this through my Apple Watch, right? I can tell when I got less REM sleep, and I'll look up, oh, that's why I'm 3%. I could tell when I'm 3% off. So when Alan says he'd be worried, I just want to state, like, just because if you're not worried, that doesn't mean you're weird. It means that when you do health and fitness for a living, it's almost like it's information overload. It's like a bukkake of information juice coming all over your face all the time. You just constantly think about things the most people don't think about.
Okay.
Where the fuck is my brain? Why did I say that?
I don't know, but it's awesome.
Okay. Here's why. ADHD moment. I was reading a story today on, I think Angry Douche posted it on Instagram, that this Japanese porn star died from suffocation, from drowning, from a bukkake video. It was on my Instagram feed. And I just want to
Thanks for
state
that.
that's why it was fresh in my head. I was scrolling my Instagram.
Whew, my ADHD is just fucking arguing like a motherfucker right now with that shit.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. But also, like, we're very like you work out. Like I also think that it's not even just a fitness thing. Like I like working out very intensely. You know what I mean? Like I get to like VO2 max like 90% every day. You know what I mean? Like I want to, not VO2 max, but I want to get my heart rate to 90% max every day almost. You know what I mean? Like I really want to go. And I know I've seen you work out. I've worked out with you. It's insane. So we noticed, like, that's why I would be like, oh shit, what the fuck's that? So I would be a little afraid. But again, what I was saying is if you have the first two and we're getting ready for 5 years, once you get past 5 or 10 years, I would be like, okay, you know, like maybe I'm all right. But what the fuck? How they convinced people to keep taking extra ones. I remember being at your place when we were looking at the vaccine cards, right? Yeah. And I was like, why are there 4 slots? Like, you know, like they're saying it's 2 and out. Why are there 4? It was never planned to be 2 and out. Like, I hope everybody understands, like, because they wouldn't have given you a card that had 4 slots on it or more, you know? And that's just where you got to get to where, okay, you know, you do you. Like, seriously, I have, as long as you're not trying to make me do it, I don't give a fuck. But you do you, you know? And if it works for you, rock on.
I hope everybody's safe and healthy. I do. I hope everybody's safe and healthy.
I definitely don't want the government experimenting on the entire population of the world to like negatively affect anybody, you know? Yeah. But it's one of them things where it's like more stuff comes out every single fucking day. You know, I think I sent you something earlier on the day too about it, but give me 1 second.
Yeah, I can find that. I do remember you sent me something earlier.
We don't need to talk about it though, because we're on.
Facebook isn't free yet.
Yeah, Facebook's not free yet. I'm just testing it out to see if we get booted off.
I don't know, man. How Zuckerberg can work fast. He kind of owns that thing. Want to jump into the Zuckerberg story since we are on Facebook?
Yeah, let me pull that on up for us.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. I mean, a lot of people. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him. I see this as a victory because it's us winning the culture. We're not gonna get rid of Facebook. But what if we made it where
social media, let's say, to give people
you're able to actually have a social media platform alongside X that is free? And what will happen is YouTube will have to follow suit sooner or later.
Yeah,
they're just going to have to. 100%. The dominoes are falling and society is starting to whip itself back, boomerang itself back into some semblance of sanity.
Right. And for those of you that are unaware that didn't watch, I mean, and you're getting your news from me and Mark, which damn. But Mark Zuckerberg came out today, and me and you kind of talked about something was going to go on because about a week ago he visited Trump in Mar-a-Lago, and then like the other day, Dana White got put on the board of Meta,
which is nuts,
which is completely fucking crazy. So I knew some sort of changes were going to be happening, and we'll listen to the whole thing. This is the announcement by the owner / android of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, who's gotten jacked and learned how to do MMA,
and he's on test.
And he's on test. Yeah, here we go.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
Awesome.
I love it. Here's the thing. I do believe that Zuckerberg, look, man, have you ever had the US government tell you to do this to your company or we're going to kill you? You know, it's like, look what they did to Elon. He's being investigated by everything. He is literally the #1 electric car manufacturer, and California has taken away his actual, like, they're giving everybody money, but he's literally not on the electric car list. Like, they're like, nah, you don't matter. So the government can make and they can break you. And so they went to Facebook. They're like, look, dude, you have to do this or you're going to be hurting. And Facebook's looking like, dude, we have these buildings, we have these employees to pay for. What bad is it going to do? So they let these fact checkers come in, and the fact checkers are all leftists. They're all politically motivated. So look, man, if you're running a company, and let's say Zuckerberg, let's say for sake of the argument, Zuckerberg truly cares about his employees. And the government says, if you don't do this, we will put the fear of God. We will come down you like no one's ever seen before. And we've seen what they've done to Elon or tried to do.
Yep. Yeah.
What are you going to do? And that's why Elon got behind Trump. Think about it. Like it was self-preservation. He would have been sued and litigated into oblivion that even his trillions of dollars couldn't fight. That is where we're at with this government. We would have been like China. I mean, they would have been like, no, you have to censor this. They went to Facebook. And look, dude, what they did to the old Twitter, like you need to suppress this laptop story. And I'm sure Jack was like, are you fucking crazy? No. And they're like, it's the New York Post. Like, do you want to censor the New York Post? Like, do it or else.
Yep.
And Elon has, look, Elon doesn't think normally. He's autistic. Elon's like, fuck it, let's go. Like, you can't expect a normie like Zuckerberg. Like, look, Elon is a genius. The Zuckerberg is just a really smart guy. There's a difference, right? So Elon is a smart guy who enjoys this kind of thing. Zuckerberg's just like, fuck, man. I have this app that was for college students. Apparently, I screwed a couple business partners out of it. I'm lucky to be here. Fuck it. Let's do what they say. Let's keep this train rolling. Elon's like, no. I am Elon Musk. I put shit in outer space. Let's go. You can't expect, look, man, as much as I disliked Zuckerberg for what he did, now that I look back on it with nuance and an open mind, like I imagine that I'm running a business. I have employees, I have buildings, I have all these processes. I mean, a lot of people's lives are impacted by me. I'm employing thousands and thousands of people. And the government says, we will put you out of business. We will litigate you into oblivion unless you do what we tell you to do. I don't know. I'm being honest. I can be, a lot of people are like, nah, dude, you've never been put in that position. Like,
not to mention,
I understand.
They would jail them too.
Yes.
They would absolutely jail them. But I
also
wanted
been
to
thrown
point
in
out
prison.
something.
If
absolutely, 100%. 100%. And I also wanted to point out something. This is him in 2017. Getting punched in the face a few times, learning how to fight, and taking some TRT saved Facebook.
Bro, he literally, he has a fucking six-pack. Like, I mean, I'm looking at this guy, and think about who he put on the board. Fucking Dana White, the guy who literally tells reporters to go fuck themselves. The guy who he hates censorship. He lets talk about free speech. All during the BLM shit, everything going on, Elon, dude, Dana White never played that shit. He's like, no, I'm not going to tell my fighters what to say. They can do what they want to do. If they want to be pro-Trump, they can be pro-Trump. If they want to get up there and say what they want about Biden, they could do that. If they want to be pro-Obama, they could do that. He lets them have, because he believes in no censorship. He didn't just bring on a guy who likes free speech. He put on literally Dana fucking White. Like the guy who just doesn't give. I mean, this guy is perfect. Dana White is him. For him to be on there, I think that shows you. It also shows you the admiration that he has for combat sports.
Oh, absolutely. I think it does, and to a great degree. You know, like I'm never going to look at any of these guys and be like, "Oh, I super trust them." But I'll judge you on your actions, and very frankly, you know, if Zuckerberg sticks to his word, you know, let's move forward and worry about the rest. Because very honestly, that shit's fucked up. I see way more potential to enact, you know, justice on the people that were contacting old Twitter and old Facebook in order to censor people, you know, like the fucking government.
Yeah.
I think we should look at who made those calls. As a newsflash, it wasn't Biden.
Biden hasn't done a damn thing, and they're trying to go scorched earth on the way out. Like they're trying to make this as messy as possible for Trump. But you know what happens if Zuckerberg doesn't do this, and we don't have Trump in office? Here's what happens. Look at this bitch, this fucking limp-wristed bitch. So this is from London's Metropolitan Police Chief, Mark Rowley, has said that they will extradite and arrest U.S. citizens over their social media posts if they violate the rules about political speech online.
Come and get me.
First of all, after January 20th, I highly doubt that's going to work. Second of all, dude, I think the UK's got their own fucking problems. Like, they're jailing people for simply talking online. A guy got like 7 years for posting on Facebook, like 7 fucking years. In the meantime, you have these grooming gangs running around the UK, raping women. And here is, it's funny. Here's this, Jess Phillips. What is her title? Is that she's like something special? I mean, what does she do? But anyway, she's like supposedly the one who's, so Elon basically said that she is okay with these grooming gangs. So she says that she feels threatened.
I can't hear it.
This is as high as it goes.
I can't hear it at all.
At all?
At all.
There's no volume coming through?
No.
Oh my God. This fucking thing.
Send me the link.
Now I'll just hold on. I'll come right back. Let me try this.
Sounds good. So, you know, what we keep talking about all the time, realistically, is that we just want to be able to have a say. There he is. There he is.
Okay. Again. So basically, she's saying that. Let's see if it works now. She's saying that she feels threatened because Elon Musk is basically saying that she's okay with, which she basically is, that she's okay with what's going on in the UK with the grooming gangs. Let's see if you can hear this now.
And
is that audible?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Awesome.
Yes.
So,
for people who don't know what they're talking about, trying to silence women like me.
So it always comes down to, oh, they're trying to silence women. No, you're letting women get raped, woman. And Elon just called you out. Elon has a voice. Like, I love how they always play that all people who aren't smart. Elon is the smartest man in the world by a lot.
Yeah.
Probably that we've seen since Albert fucking Einstein.
Not only that, but like they're basically holding it against him that like they're pretty much pretending like he shouldn't have a voice. You know, like
everybody should have a voice. Everybody.
That's everybody.
He just happens to have a really, he has a really loud one.
Started posting about you. Are you having to go about your daily life differently at all?
Yes, my daily life is currently different. I won't go into the details of that, but yes, it is. Being in the spotlight like this and the intimation of what Elon Musk is, the disinformation, as I believe the
disinformation. That's the word. You can't tell truth. It's always disinformation. When someone says disinformation, you know they're fucking full of shit. You know they're lying. You know that they have no rebuttal.
Prime Minister referred to it as put out about me it's endangering.
It's endangering.
Good. Fear for your life the way these women fear for their lives on the street, woman. Okay.
Yep.
I hope she's fearful. I hope she can't sleep at night.
You.
Me too.
I just want to be absolutely clear. Are you saying that as a result of some of Musk's tweets, that the threat to you has gone up and things are in place to protect your safety?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to be clear and
I'm
say
sure
that
people with guns are protecting her too.
Yeah, I'd like to be clear that you allowed probably thousands of women to be raped.
Yeah,
I have no sympathy. I'm zero.
I'm just mad that she has the resources to have protection, unlike these women on the street.
Yep,
I mean, she gets to have armed guards, yet you can't have firearms in the UK. Ha. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Playing the woman card.
To the lot in life that you get as a woman who fights violence against women and girls. I've learned that it's ups and downs in my life, but what it makes me know is I have to just keep on going.
So I have a few things that go together. So here's another one. So Elon Musk called her a rape genocide apologist. A lot of words. All right.
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So is sort of the very premise of your question is that the things that he's saying are so ridiculous as to initially make me just go, what? But then you wake up with the realization that that's millions of people that he has said that to. And you feel immediately like this is going to turn my world upside down, and I have to try and limit for how long that is the case.
Well, so I stand by the fact that, so basically what's going on, and I have another tab with Natalie Winters, very handsome woman, I might add, just for the record. And Natalie Winters going into a lot of this thing, young girls, basically these Muslim migrants, and they're more concerned with not being racist than with protecting these young girls from being raped. They're not, these are pedophiles. These are not groomers. These are actual, Cernovich had a good post about it. Like, these are not like groomings. These are not groomers. These are pedophile rapists. And the UK is okay with that, because if you say anything bad about migrants, even the bad ones, then you are a xenophobe. You're a racist. Meanwhile, you got innocent young girls being raped. And I don't know about you, but I'm not a fan of that. It's just nuts. So here's Natalie Winters.
The vast majority of domestic terrorism in the United States this century has been perpetrated by white people.
Well, that's only because they've reworked the definition of domestic terrorism to include events like January 6th and people who are affiliated with MAGA. So I would certainly say that their classification of what constitutes domestic terrorism is sort of cherry-picked, especially when they prosecuted and persecuted every single Jan 6er on an individual basis. But I mean, the Biden regime just 3 weeks ago puts out a whole white paper, a new strategy to counter Islamophobia and anti-Muslim hate. I don't really think that that's the most pressing issue going on in the United States of America right now. And I think there's two compounding issues, which is what Dr. Jordan Peterson was getting into. One is the issue of mass migration at an unprecedented number in terms of the people who are coming in. Traditionally, America would sort of have on and off periods. Now you're seeing numbers of migrants that are just completely overwhelming what it used to be. And there's no off periods. And you have a sort of societal superstructure and culture where you look down on assimilation. And if you tell people who come from different cultures, and oftentimes it's racialized or there's a religious component to it, if they're not white or if they're Muslim or whatever they may be, that if you demand assimilation, you're smeared and mocked as a racist. And it doesn't work, because these cultures, as evidence in what's going on all around United Kingdom, and there's similar stuff going on here. We have no-go zones in the United States too. It doesn't work. And Piers, frankly, I don't think you're correct to say that multiculturalism has been successful. I think if you told the girls who were victims of violent, atrocious rapes, I don't think that they would agree that multiculturalism has been wonderful. I don't think.
Well, I would throw back to you. Look, I would throw back.
Piers Morgan is such a bitch.
Does he still has you blocked? That bitch. What the fuck?
Well, I don't even know. I mean, it was an argument, of course, why everybody has me blocked. Scott Adams has me blocked for questioning him getting the shot. Not even being rude. I'm just like, he's like, well, I took it so I could go travel the world. And I said, so your health is worth traveling the world. And then you jumped in, he blocked me at least. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't being mean or anything. I was just being like, you're supposed to be this intellectual, right? Like, and you're going to take something that is, we don't know what it does. And I was just having an honest debate, like an honest question. And he couldn't take it because people hate when you're smarter than them. And and they think you're a fucking moron because you're muscular, and they hate it when they can't answer you, they can't debate you, and that just gets on their nerves. And I'm like, well, I'm just asking questions. I wasn't calling him names. I wasn't being derogatory. Jordan Peterson, same thing. I'm like, hey, you preach all this manhood stuff, yet you're begging Trudeau for your freedom because you got the shot that you didn't want to get. to get your freedom back. That doesn't sound manly. Blocked me.
No.
Pierce Morgan blocked me because he was going on, and I'm like, and I just simply questioned it. And then he called me a steroid user and blocked me. It's pretty much the story of my life through the 2020s. Is
Yes.
As soon
Yes,
as
it was.
and I'm only blocked by people. Well, obviously leftists block me a lot. You know, they just they preemptively block me. I see that once in a while, but a lot of times I was blocked for simply questioning these people on the right who were not up for debate over their mistake or their initial stance on the mass vaccinations, or them personally taking it and going against their messaging.
Right.
I simply wanted them to say, yeah, my bad. If Scott Adams could have just said, yeah, you know what? Looking back, my bad. Yeah. And he's done that since, by the way.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you guys were right. I'm like, then unblock me, dude. We used to be friends.
But I mean, it happens fairly often that way. I mean, what, Gatorade blocked us both, I think.
Well, why did Gatorade block us?
I forget that they did. I don't even remember why. I was just like, holy shit, Gatorade blocked me. Like I have their product in my fucking fridge.
Yeah, I mean,
that was weird.
I'm a Gatorade Zero kind of guy. I like the colors. I get the red one, so I get all that red 40. Gets me nice and jacked up.
So
I forgot why the hell did I remember. I think it was because they had this ad with this overweight woman, and we just started blasting on them.
Right, that's right.
And we're like, dude, like, you know, because I actually have done videos, and I'm like, look, man, for youth athletes, just get carbs during events, right? Like, I don't care if it's Gatorade, Powerade, I don't care what you do. Just if you're doing something like a very high intensity, you know, get some carbs and electrolytes. Hell, Gatorade's fine. It's at every gas station. Get your kids some Gatorade. I still say that in videos, and I'm like, I'm a guy who's actually not anti-Gatorade. Joey Antonio, not a fan of Gatorade. He's been fighting them his whole life because, you know, they fund a lot of research that was obviously skewed in their favor. It was faulty research. So Jose's not a big fan. I actually have argued on, and I still do, because I think for what you're trying to get out of it, there's application. A lot of people like, Gatorade is just sugar water. Yes. And it's fructose and glucose with electrolytes, which is essentially what your body needs during intense exertion. Does that mean you should drink Gatorade with your Big Mac? No. Does that mean you should sit around your house? No. I don't see anything wrong with Gatorade Zero. It's water and electrolytes and some flavor and a little bit of coloring if you're okay with color. Whatever. You know, I just think it's fascinating how as soon as the shot was a weird thing, because it was the only thing that caused people to just block you for even questioning their what their thought process was, because they were so upset that they did it, that they lashed out.
So I have a theory about that, because for a lot of these people, especially too, not only if they were wrong, not only does it mean that they risk their own health, right? But for a lot of people, it means they risk their children's health, right? And like that's big. It's the same reason why a lot of people of trans kids, quote unquote, so mentally ill people that trans their kids, they're bought in so severely, because how are they going to, if they don't say that if they all of a sudden change their mind, how are they going to explain that to the kid?
It's irreversible. I mean? It's irreversible. Just like a shot's irreversible. Look, man, when you make that decision, let's say you're 20, 25 years old. Like, you know what? I'm going to take steroids. You're no longer a natural athlete. You're just not. Right. So it's a big tipping point, right? And then all you could do is go back and say, like, you know, I always talk about in 2013, I did a real cycle. And to this day, I'm like, you know, if people are like, well, you did a cycle, I'm like, yeah. And I regret it. Like, I'm honest about it. I think I could have looked not as good, but good enough to win. Right. I would have won that. I look back at that show. I would have won that show without it. When I got my NABA Pro card in 2013, I have no doubt in my mind. But I was playing like fucking Phil Heath was going to show up, and he never showed. So it was me versus a bunch of guys who looked really good, but I just happened to have better genetics and better flow. So I would have won anyway. I would have been maybe 2 pounds smaller, whoop-de-doo, maybe a little less hard. You know, muscle hardness is a thing. Muscles don't get hard. It's just you could tell when a guy's on steroids when they're contest ready. There's a different look to the muscle. And you can even see it in me on stage versus the other guys. I have a very lean, veiny physique, but it lacks that like fucking granite hardness. Does that make sense? Right. Like when you look at like Martin Fitzwater and these other guys who are top placers at the Olympia, their muscles just look fucking amazing. And I'm saying it in admiration and awe, not by any means taking away from them. I look at them, I'm like, fuck, that is fucking amazing. I love that. I'm just not willing to do that because I'm a pussy and I don't want to risk my life. I just don't. For me, it's like, if I can't get it on TRT, I'm good. Like, I'm good. Right. And I've had this discussion because I was thinking, like, I want to do that show I'm doing that show on June 21st. And people are like, why don't you just do one cycle? I'm like, what if it does take a year off my life? I'm not willing to do that at this point in my life. I'm literally doing things every day to gain minutes on my life, right? Like sauna and cold plunge, things that might. We don't even know if it'll help. I get hit by a bus tomorrow. That might add a couple days, right? In the best case scenario, I want to have, like, my daughter's reading the Peter Attia's book. I think it's called Health Span. And she's like, fucking like, this is amazing. She keeps talking to me about it. So there's health span, there's lifespan. Living long is one thing, dude. I want to live fucking good. I want to be at 60, 70 years old feeling like I do now. So I'm not willing to take that risk where I'm going to take even 10 minutes off my life at this point. I know that sounds fucking weird, but like, I'm not willing to, an 8-week cycle. Will it do much damage? Probably not. But what if it does? You know, those are things you grapple with when you get old and you like your life, you know, and you're like, you want to be around your wife and your kids. And you're like, man, I don't want to go. Like, this is fucking great. Like, I went and watched with my daughter and watched my son beat the shit out of a kid tonight in wrestling, not in like a street fight. I mean, I was sitting there by my daughter. I'm filming it. I'm sitting by the athletic director and he's like, dude, Thomas getting pretty good. You know, I'm sitting there. People are cheering for my son. I don't want that to go away. I want to see my grandkids do that. Now I'm looking forward to grandkids, bro. Now I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I can't wait. And I told my daughter, I'm like, wherever she lives, her kid's going to play football. Okay. It has to happen. He has no choice. And I'm going to coach his team. I don't want to die. I'll coach my fucking great grandkids. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I'm looking at life now. So yeah, I do regret, but that's the thing about COVID. Like, I can look at you honestly in the eye and say, I regret taking Tren in 2013. I can look you in the eye and say that. Okay. I can say I regret it, but why can't people like Scott Adams say, you know what? I regret that.
I mean, I think because
he said everything, but
here might be the reason, because while you were open about it when you took it, it's still a much smaller audience. They're broadcasting, and like, you're saying it to people like, okay, I'm on Trend, and there are plenty of people to be like, the majority of people would probably be like, fuck, why the fuck are you doing that? You know, but this was the vast majority of fucking people, because I have never heard anything good about Trend. Like, I mean, every person I've ever talked to that's used it has said it's like fucking horrible.
You can't sweat in your sleep, dude. Like, you like wake up and your bed sheets are drenched. You can't get a good night's sleep. I just felt toxic. But boy, did I look fucking good. It was fucking amazing. Like you're like, and your muscle feels like it's gonna tear out of the skin. Like, it is just like you're always, it's like you're always flexing. At least for me, it was. It's like, even when you're at rest, like your muscles feel like they're flexing. I can't describe. It's fucking unreal. And then you combine it with the other shit I was taking. It was like, okay, this is amazing. But I could have just dieted a little. I could have just done nothing different and still looked within 10% of what I looked like with it. So it added 10%, but I won by like 30%. So it wasn't going to make a difference. But yeah, it's just, I just wish people could be honest about when they make a mistake. You know, I think Ben Shapiro did a good job of saying, yeah, you know, I regret that. You know, I think he said something to that nature. Like, yeah, you know, I shouldn't have said that about the dope, that if you don't take the vaccine, you're a dope. And also, like, the Daily Wire sued the government. So he's good with me. I'm good with Ben. I've gotten over it. But he's the only one I've seen actually come back and say, Scott Adams did say, hey, you anti-vax, you guys were right. He's like, you guys were right. So Scott Adams kind of walked it back. Jordan Peterson has. but he's still like, be a man, make your bed, be a monster. Be a monster. He is the furthest from a monster. He's a pussycat. His messaging's great. I think he's helped a lot of men get through some tough time, men who needed a male voice. But dude, I'm one of those, be about it. You know, like that's your line. Like
you gotta be about it. Yeah.
He's not about that life.
No,
I mean,
no.
I just, if you're going to espouse this pro-masculine agenda, you need to display that, because you're going to break a lot of hearts when they find out you're a fucking pussy.
Exactly. That's so fucking true. You know, the thing is, like, I think that's where it's at with like Zuckerberg. We were just talking, like, I showed a picture of him before. I mean, low T, low muscle mass, never been punched in the face, looks like fucking geeky, you know? Now he gets punched in the face probably every goddamn day because he's getting trained by some of the best MMA people in the goddamn world. He's on TRT, which, by the way, Zuck, I just started TRT too. Holy shit. I fucking, like, wish I would have done it years ago, because it's a complete game changer. Like, I mean, and I'm not like gonna do, it's not like a cycle. It's just so I can be a normal human being. Like, I can have my testosterone levels back to when I was 25. Yeah, I'll take that shit, you know? And what you were saying is quality of life, right? So my worry was that, like, I was gonna start just losing muscle mass. I couldn't keep it on, and I was tired, sore, fatigued all the time. My ADHD was getting out of fucking control, and I'm very used to having it in very fucking control. Now it's completely back because I'm at a healthy level of testosterone again, right? And maybe if Jordan Peterson would take the Zuckerberg, you know, like, train, maybe that would be a little better for him. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wrote an article today about why TRT is healthier than living with low testosterone. I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the chat right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to see that? Yeah, so I did write an article on that today. Hopefully that'll help some people. Just kind of, you get a different perspective, because all you hear about steroids bad, steroids bad, steroids bad. And that was like on the Jubilee episode, which, by the way, they copyright strike everything.
They got me, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They got the evening rants. They did. But it's fine. Like, we're not monetized on YouTube right now anyway.
And I think as long as I didn't strike the channel, they can have the revenue. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, look, man, TRT, when used properly, like, we're not talking about swole RT, right? We're not talking about someone just taking we're talking about like 100 to 200 milligrams once a week, gets you up to between 800 and 1500, let's say, testosterone total. That's healthier than being 400 and under, in my opinion. And from what the data shows, low testosterone is just so bad. It's so bad for you. And sometimes, especially with aging, environmental, work, stress, sometimes that you cannot do it naturally, even if you try your hardest. And that's where you medically intervene. It's okay for women. It's okay for women to take, you know, menopause, some estrogen, or even testosterone is being given for women with menopause, progesterone, right? That's okay. The birth control pill, perfectly okay. But, like, as soon as a man wants to, you know, take some anti-aging supplements, all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, that's so bad. The birth control pill has way more damaging effects than TRT.
Oh my God. Yeah. And, like, the average age of women going on birth control in America is 14.
And they stay on it for a long time. It can cause infertility. There's just a lot of issues with it. When TRT, like, you know, you're going on it, if you're doing it correctly, you're going on it usually when you're trying to have kids. But even if you go on TRT, there are ways to mitigate the issues with fertility through other ancillaries like HCG and gonadotropin, things like that are, your doctor will know about this stuff, I hope. If not, find a new doctor. But there are, dude, Ronnie Coleman has 8 kids.
Yeah.
There's my N equals 1.
There was just an IV hookup to him, you know, like, it was like straight, like, mainline. Branch Warren just had another kid. He's like 47. Arnold was getting women pregnant by accident, you know?
Yeah. I mean, so it's look, man, is it going to decrease your sperm? Is it going to, your body's not going to produce its own. But again, like with other ancillaries, there are ways to stay fertile. But again, like, if you're doing it right, you're probably going to be in your late 30s, late 40s, maybe even 50. And that's when you're like, you know what? I don't I don't feel right. You get your levels measured and you're like, oh shit, my testosterone is really low. And then maybe you try some lifestyle adjustments and you're like, yep, it's still not going up and there's nothing more I can do. And that's when you explore TRT. But I'm not about just like kids blasting tests, you know, it's no, that's horrible to equate the two. But yeah, I mean, I speak from experience and people say, my thing is people are like, when I talk about Ozempic, people are like, oh, it's really, so yeah, the guy on steroids is talking about the ills of Ozempic. Okay, let's assume I'm on all the steroids in the world. So if a crack addict tells you that heroin is bad, is he incorrect?
Right. No, he's not.
So just because one person might have another vice doesn't mean that what they say is incorrect.
Not to mention, but I really do think like the concept that you and I have talked about for years, because me and you were the first people that I've ever heard say this phrase, but we need to make America healthy again. As a newsflash, and I mean, a lot of people don't like when I say this, but dear men out there, if you are in your mid 30s and you have a big pot belly and you are depressed and you have man boobs and you feel diminutive and you literally can't seem to do anything about it. You can't get motivation to do anything. Have your testosterone levels checked and tell your doctor you want to explore the concept of testosterone replacement therapy if your testosterone levels are low. Because I really believe with the amount of obesity we have in America, especially amongst middle-aged men, that most men should start somewhere down that road sooner than later. Testosterone levels have been shown, like people in their early 20s have testosterone levels of people in their 70s from 20 years ago. Yeah. That's very fucking dangerous. And I'm not talking about just for reproductive health. The thing about TRT, and one of the reasons why I was okay with going on it, is when you read the studies about it, it's actually heart healthy, like to be at a normal testosterone level artificially than it is to be at a low testosterone level. It's actually much healthier for you to keep muscle mass on you so you are not going to have sarcopenia and barely be able to walk. Like these are things that happen. This is why, other 50-year-old men, like I should look like the average 50-year-old guy. I mean, I have good genetics for my shoulders and shit like that, but I'm a normal sized guy. That and the camera angle and all that stuff. I'm like 185, 190 pound guy. I worked out for 40 fucking years, right? And at one point in time, I weighed 300 pounds almost. So I should be like kind of the average dude at this age. Like other people should have caught up, but instead we have a ton of people that they look like they're fucking 70 at my age. And that's just bad because like you've had low T for now 30 fucking years. So you can barely fucking move. You're moving less and less and less. The older you get, the more weight you put on. With every day you get older and every pound you put on, you're moving less. It's very bad for you. If we want to make America healthy again, for fuck's sake, RFK's on testosterone replacement therapy. Like, we need to make testosterone replacement therapy great again.
And they blast him for that. Meanwhile, you have, Nadler on the other side looking like a fucking penguin.
Right.
It's like, who would you rather be like? Oh, and the other, then you have a guy on estrogen who's the current health secretary, right? So you have a guy who's on testosterone. They're like, he's on steroids. I'm like, what the fuck is that guy on? What is Richard Levine on? Like he's on estrogen. Like if you're going to bash on HRT, let's at least be fucking fair. I mean, let's blast on all HRT. They only like testosterone injections when it's getting girls to transition.
Yeah, exactly.
It's wacky.
Exactly.
It's wacky. I just hope that, I'm not trying to one of the things you talk about is the normalization and of testosterone and the guy, that Zach Thielander guy did a reaction to the Jubilee video like, oh, well, the HRT clinics are normalizing it. No, it's not. It's not at all. It's for aging men. You think the low T center at the corner of fucking 5 minutes from my house? You really think a fucking teenager is driving by that? Like, yeah, that's the reason I got on test. Come on. Fucking midget mind thinking. Come on.
Yeah, man. Like, it's not like that, but like, first of all, let's normalize health. Okay. Yes. Because health is not normal. Like I remember like 6 years ago when I first started talking about the fat acceptance community, I'm like, this is not good. We should not normalize this. There should not be the acceptance of obesity. We should not normalize obesity by any stretch of the imagination. It is very bad for us. It costs us a lot of money. It is massively stressful on our healthcare system, on the planet, on our country, on the people, their families, society. It's not a good thing to normalize. Well, because just like we wanted to normalize, basically little kids tucking, we normalized this shit, And now we're at a stage where fucking so many people are just slobbingly fat. That's very bad. It's very, very bad. And I know people are like, oh my God, it's so mean. What would be really mean? If I would say, hey, I know you're 350 pounds and you look like a melted ice cream cone. You should have a pizza. Go ahead. You deserve it. That's fucking mean. That's fucking mean.
It does play a societal role. And
yeah,
and you're talking about the testosterone HRT is making more kids do it. Well, what is putting a fat chick on the cover of Cosmo saying this is the new fit? What is that? Like, we could play this game all day long.
No shit. Hang on a second. I actually have that fucking. I have
cover?
that thing. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, I have it somewhere.
Everybody's seen it with a fat woman like this. Like, this is the new fit.
Yeah, she's like, this is healthy, or this is the new fit. Like, shut.
I think it was this is healthy. Yeah, this is healthy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. And the thing is, when you're fat, and I know we harp on this all the time, but the main thing you need to look at is visceral adipose tissue and inflammation. And also, like, if you look at it from even women, it does cause hormonal imbalance due to the estrogen.
Oh, yeah.
Fat is estrogenic. So the more fat on your body, and you talk about like issues women have, and roid rage, by the way, if you're looking at what roid rage is, if it does exist, which I do think there can be some, mood changes. It's from the concurrent increase in estrogen. That's what happens. So when you raise testosterone, you don't control estrogen. And let's say you're on a good amount of testosterone. I'm not talking TRT dose. That's not enough to do shit usually. But like when your testosterone raises, your body likes homeostasis. So the estrogen is going to raise. So you go from having like a 20 to 40 level of estrogen, like 110. And you're a bitch. Like, you're an angry bitch. And so estrogen is probably a lot of the reason for the purported roid rage. I've never really met I have, but they'd be assholes without it. But like most people I know who are on a good amount of steroids are generally calm and nice. You notice that? Like you meet these big guys, you're like, that guy's really nice. I did not expect that. Oh, he's just a big teddy bear.
Yeah, well, not that, but like I'm a very good example because I just started about a month ago. I am in such a better mood, dude. Like, I'm so much calmer about shit. Shit just does not bother me like it used to bother me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get nearly as stressed out. Hang on one second. Here we go.
There it is.
And this was done, like, this is from 2021. Like, we had literally just like fucked the entire goddamn country up to protect fat people from a cold. And this fucking how did I lose an entire YouTube channel for medical misinformation? And Cosmo put this up. Like, it just goes to show you it wasn't about health at all. Not even a little bit.
The pose is amazing. Well, I mean, it checked all the boxes, right? Fat.
Yeah.
At that time, you had the BLM thing, black. Like, I understand what they're doing, right? They're trying to check the victim box, because being fat, absolutely, even though it's a choice, being fat is a victim class now. No, you're a victim of your own erratic, uncontrollable behavior. That is what you're a victim
Exactly.
of. Unfortunately. And and people are like, well, what about mental issues? I'm like, yes, but you know what helps your mental issues? Not being fat. Being fat makes you stupid.
Exactly.
And there's scientific evidence to back it up. It's all blood flow and inflammation. You cannot be optimal when your body is in a constant state of inflammation. It's just not possible.
No, and I talk about this fairly often, where it's like this dual-edged sword that they get sliced in and sliced out, because so the food that gets people morbidly obese, because nobody's getting morbidly obese on broccoli and steak. It's just not happening, right? It's always pizza. It's all the ultra-processed food. The ultra-processed food does tend to, I mean, it's been scientifically shown it increases chances of depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, those sorts of things, right? So, and then they get fat, and fat causes something called neuroinflammation. When you're in a constant state of inflammation for an extended period of time, it makes it through the blood-brain barrier, and it causes inflammation in your brain. It causes depression. So these people are depressed. I get that all the time. Like, well, you know, physical health is one thing, but they have to be mentally healthy first in order to get physically healthy. Like, you are never, ever, and I trust on this, I have coached thousands of fucking fat people, thousands. You are never going to be physically healthy or you're never going to be mentally healthy if you're not physically healthy. It's not going to happen.
100%.
Because it's just not.
My mother always had this. I remember one time, and my mom passed away in December. My mom was waking up. She woke up from surgery, and first thing she did is she started putting makeup on. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Right? She goes, "Well, when you look good, you feel good." And now that I look back, there's a lot of truth to that, right? Like, I'm not saying go put on makeup, but think about self-esteem, confidence. You know, I'll tell you what. Like, I get up every day, and work days, I dress for work. I wear, you guys see me. Usually I don't change. I change back after I go coach, but you know, I put on a nice polo shirt. I have a pullover today. I comb my hair, I shave, and I just feel more efficient. I feel more professional when I do it. So I understand that. It's like remember when we had Izzo on here and he was saying why he wears a suit, you know, it's like, you're just in that professional mindset. And I do understand that. So if your body's in a constant state of unhealthy sloppiness, how do you think your mind's going to be? Right.
And it's just, it's this, it's a matter of self-care and self-harm, right? Like, you're never going to be mentally healthy when you are harming yourself via your actions every day. Like, if you are a morbidly obese person and you are not actively losing weight, if you're eating in a way that is keeping you at homeostasis, the weight you're at, or you're gaining weight, you are harming yourself. And society, I wish society could get there. It is not even a matter that people gluttoning themselves is bad for the economy, it's bad for the planet, it's bad for all those things. It is actually a form of self-harm. It's my biggest beef about all these videos that I keep showing on X of these people just smashing food in their face. It is monetized self-harm. Every social media entity has something in their terms of service agreement against broadcasting self-harm and eating disorder behavior, which I will argue up and down as a binge eater. By the way, I am 10 days away from 4 years no binge, thanks to No Morbidity and Alchemy and my wife and her coaching. I'm so fucking pleased. But I you know, it's this thing where it's like you're hurting yourself, and then they're monetizing for it. But no matter what, you are hurting yourself by how you're eating every day. If you are morbidly obese and you decide to get a pizza, that is the same thing as if you are an alcoholic and you decide to get a 12-pack. You should think about it that way. It's hurting yourself.
I actually, we've said this a few times. Before anyone goes on Ozempic or takes any extreme measures, carnivore diet. Absolutely. There's not one obese person who wouldn't get phenomenal results from a carnivore diet. And I say that as someone who's not a carnivore diet guy. But if you're looking at just you don't have to count macros. Just hey, eat till you're full. Eat all the fucking steak and chicken and all the meat you want. I guarantee you. Because you don't get that fat eating beef. You get that fat eating highly palatable, ultra-processed foods, period. There's no way, 100%. No one is getting morbidly obese eating chicken and rice. Oh, no, fuck rice, chicken and broccoli, chicken and apples. Eat all the meat and fruit you want. Eat all the meat and veggies you want. You will not, dude, don't even do carnivore. Do meat and veggies. Do chicken and eat all the eat fucking 30 bananas a day, mate. Remember that one?
Right.
Durian Rider?
Yeah.
Good old YouTube reminiscence.
Durian Rider. Oh, God.
Dude. Here's the thing, eat all the meat you can. And if you have a sweet tooth, eat a fucking pear, eat a banana, whatever. I guarantee you will, if you are obese, I'm talking like over 100 pounds overweight, the first couple weeks, you are going to lose fucking probably 40 pounds. I'm not even playing because the amount of calories people need to be morbidly obese is insurmountable. It's insane. I mean, they're eating 6, 7, 8,000 calories a day. We were watching My 600-Pound Life. Motherfucker was eating like 17 eggs for breakfast. I was like, holy shit, with other stuff. I'm like, now that is impressive. The amount of food it takes to be morbidly obese is I hardly eat. No, you eat. There's no, unless you're, look, it's not the theory of thermodynamics. It's the law of thermodynamics. It's a fucking law. It is not a theory, guys. It's a law. If you eat less than your body needs to put on weight, you will lose weight. Period.
Right.
And you're not going to eat enough fucking sirloin and ribeye to get to that level of fatness. You're just not. That's why I like when someone's morbidly obese and they're like, what should I do? I'm like, carnivore diet. And if you want, you could add in some fruit. You don't have to be strict with it.
Absolutely. And it works out better, like the less complicated it is. We do that with a lot of people too. We normally try to get them to go to Whole Foods first because it's such a sticking point for them. That, and a lot of people are very addicted to sugar. You want to give them a possible outlet. We tend to peel it back. They tend to okay, fruit's now like an occasional treat, because it's wild how they'll be like, oh, what? So you want them to be unhealthy and not eat fruit? Like, you could eat steak and eggs and be perfectly fine. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I mean, they have all we evolved as apex predators eating mostly meat. Do you think they were able to gather enough fucking berries to feed thousands of fucking people? No, they killed shit and ate it after they cooked it over a fucking fire. We are apex predators. We hunted woolly mammoths. We fucking ate them. It's what we evolved as doing,
We ate the shit out of anything we could find and kill.
Yes, absolutely.
There was no Costco back
100%.
then. They couldn't go to Aldi. They hunted shit, and they had to earn their food, right? That's why I look at you look at post-workout, wait, if you look at how it used to be done, you had to put in effort to kill your food, and then you got to eat it. So that's kind of like training and eating, right? Your body's almost meant to be in a super absorptive state from training. And that's all. Absolutely. And now we have the science to back it. You have the GLUT4 uptake, which is your body's ability to transport whatever, I'm not going to get into science and shit. You have the GLUT4, insulin sensitivity, all these different things, increased mTOR, which is protein synthesis, all these things.
Right.
Dude, it's literally pointing to that. It's like you had to work training, right? And then you ate and your body absorbed it better. But when you don't go hunt your food, your body's not going to utilize it because you haven't earned it.
Yeah, basically, you haven't put your body into an absorptive state is what it is.
Yeah, because
and and it's just a matter of we've changed so much from that. Now it's people can expend 1 calorie of energy by pressing a gas pedal and get 3,000 calories. It used to be you had to when you watch survival shows, I love watching survival shows, but if you watch survival shows, they talk about efficiency a lot, like heat efficiency, heat storage, water efficiency, but also calorie efficiency, because they're if I've got to hike for 10 miles to kill a squirrel and eat 300 calories, that is not efficient. You know what I mean? I'm better off not even moving that day, but if I can, set a trap and, trap a goat or something like that and eat the goat, I have now I've got to still gut the goat, skin the goat, cook the goat, transport the goat back. I had to dig the hole to get the goat in, and it's about the same amount of calories, if not a little bit more. And then you're thriving, right? And that's where we need to kind of get to. People need to earn their actual input, because there needs to be some output for your input. And that also helps the body grow. The body grows through breaking it down through physical exercise and then giving it the building blocks to build it back up to be healthy. And that's what we're meant to do. It also, when you work out, and or exercise, depending on how you like to work out, if you go running sometimes, but if you especially do resistance training, it helps make it so your body starts producing more of the good hormones, including dopamine. You get a dopamine release, you get those sorts of things, and it switches your dopamine receptor from being food driven to activity driven. Once you can do that, where it's food doesn't even do it for me that much anymore. But I tell you what, a good workout where all of a sudden I'm just at the end of it, I'm like, damn, that was fucking crazy. Yeah. That's what I like,
Exactly. So we're back tomorrow. Hopefully nothing bad happens and we could just have a fun show. Like today,
Right,
today
right.
nothing really. It was just normal bad. Like
Yeah, normal
ongoing stuff. Hopefully things get right. So again, guys, thanks for watching us. We appreciate you tuning in. A lot of people here, and yeah, we're here. We're doing our thing. We appreciate you being a part of Evening Rants and watching us. We know there's a lot of other podcast opportunities this time of the night, but we appreciate you tuning in to us.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. And we have an extremely handsome man that's going to talk to you about an awesome pre-workout for you to exit the show. Have a great night.
Peace out.
Let's talk about pre-workouts. See, a lot of them just get you spiked and then you crash. The crash is crazy. When I take a pre-workout, I don't want my heart beating out of my chest. I can't do a set to failure with that. No, I want something that gets me focused. I want my mind to just go, I'm gonna get all the weight. I want my body to feel like I can go crush it, make the gains of my life. That's why the pre-workout I use is Ambrosia Kinetic. Ambrosia Kinetic is the greatest mushroom-enhanced mind and body performance booster pre-workout ever created. Go to tigerfitness.com now. That's tigerfitness.com. Coupon code MAHA, M-A-H-A, MAHA. MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. And you get 10% off, not just Kinetic, but the entire site. Go to tigerfitness.com now, save and make the gains you've been wanting.